Have you noticed that the more you evolve, the more people seem unsettled by your presence? They don't say it. Instead, they smile with uneasy eyes, offer backhanded advice disguised as concern, or fall into a strange silence when you start speaking about something real. But what's really happening isn't subtle, it's seismic. Your growth threatens their comfort, your awareness is a mirror, and most people can't stomach their own reflection. This isn't a glitch. This is the system reacting to someone who's breaking it. You've started thinking differently, questioning things you once swallowed whole, and now you're met with discomfort, judgment, even isolation. Nietzsche understood this. He didn't just study philosophy. He cracked open the human psyche and stared into its abyss. And what he found was unsettling. The path to building a truly powerful mind demands you dismantle everything you thought made you safe. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Real strength, it's not about calm smiles and surface-level stoicism. It's not about motivational posters or meditative breathing apps. It's about chaos, inner chaos. You need to have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star, Nietzsche wrote. And no, that's not poetic fluff. It's psychological reality. If you're not willing to face the disorder within you, you'll never escape the mediocrity around you. The greatest transformations in your life, think about them. Did they come from peace and order or from collapse? You were never reborn on a beach sipping herbal tea. You were reborn in pain, in disorientation, when everything fell apart. Nietzsche didn't glorify suffering, he weaponized it. To him, pain wasn't a bug in the system, it was the engine. The pressure that either shatters you or shapes you. Most people run from pain. That's why they never evolve. They cling to positive thinking, to comfort zones, to illusions that whisper, you're fine just the way you are. But you're here because something in you is done pretending. When you stop asking for life to be easier and start demanding of yourself to become stronger, that's when the mind begins to sharpen. That's when you start walking the line between collapse and control. But if you're thinking this is just about enduring pain, you're not quite there yet. Nietzsche didn't stop at chaos. He went further. He blew up the very foundation of external meaning. When he declared God is dead, it wasn't a celebration, it was a detonation. He wasn't killing a deity, he was killing the illusion that someone else is in charge, that life has a built-in purpose, that suffering is part of some grand plan designed by a benevolent force. In Nietzsche's universe, there are no instructions, no rescues, no saviors, just you and the terrifying, liberating responsibility of creating your own meaning. The weak collapse under this weight. They cling to borrowed beliefs and ready-made answers. But if you can survive this existential freefall, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop outsourcing your mind and you start forging it. No more asking, what should I do? Now the question becomes, what will I choose to be? With no more sky to pray to, you become the god of your own inner world. That's where the Overman, or Übermensch, comes in. Not a superhero, not some Nietzschean caricature in a cape, but a person who has rejected every lie used to keep them small. The Übermensch doesn't follow inherited morality. He creates values from within. He doesn't seek approval. He doesn't obey trends. He doesn't ask permission to exist. He embodies power that doesn't need to shout. This is where fear enters the room, not yours, theirs. Because when your mind stops being shaped by the herd, when you rise above shame, neediness, and guilt, people will feel it, not understand it, feel it like a disturbance in the air. Your confidence becomes unsettling. Your silence becomes provocative. Your detachment becomes dangerous. Not because you're trying to hurt anyone, but because you've stopped needing them to be okay. But don't romanticize this path. Becoming that kind of being, the kind that terrifies through sheer presence, it comes with a cost. You'll lose comfort, you'll lose approval, you might even lose your place in the world you used to belong to. Because the Overman doesn't just build something new, he burns the old. And most people can't bear to even light the match. But if you're still here, still listening, something in you already knows this path is for you. You don't want to be liked, you want to be free. And freedom begins where people stop clapping. So how do you become this person? The one who radiates power without needing to perform it. You start by unlearning the behaviors that make you predictable. Predictability is weakness. It tells the world you're programmable, easy to decode, easy to manipulate. When you stop reacting the way people expect, when their triggers stop working, you become unreadable. And that unreadability, That's presence. That's where true psychological power begins. Because most people aren't interacting with you. They're interacting with your reactions. Your approval seeking, your insecurity, your need to be understood. Cut those cords and you disappear from the system they built around you. Now they don't know what to do with you. Good. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment they start imagining who you are. And imagination is always more powerful than explanation. The strongest minds in history weren't loved. They were misunderstood, mocked, rejected, and eventually followed. Not because they begged to be seen, but because they refused to bend. Being misunderstood is a consequence of independence. If no one ever misreads you, you've probably made yourself too small. Nietzsche never begged for clarity. He didn't water down his words so everyone could keep up. He wrote in riddles, not to confuse, but to filter. His message wasn't for the masses, it was for the few who were ready to confront themselves. You want to build a terrifying mind? Embrace being unreadable. Let people misjudge you. That discomfort they feel, it means you're not predictable. And that means you're becoming powerful. The most dangerous thing about you won't be your words. It'll be what you withhold. Detachment is often mistaken for apathy, but apathy is passive. Detachment is precise. It's control. When you can walk away from anything, a job, a relationship, an argument, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, you become untouchable. The world is ruled by the emotionally reactive. They explode, they panic, they cling. You observe, you calculate, you exit. You don't need the last word. You don't need the room to agree. You don't even need to be understood. You need truth and peace and self-respect. The moment you stop chasing outcomes is the moment you start generating gravity. People feel your absence as power, and that power reshapes the space around you. There's a version of you right now that's playing along, wearing the mask, holding it all together so no one gets uncomfortable. That version is keeping you safe and small and miserable. Nietzsche didn't just call for evolution, he called for self-destruction of the false self. To become who you are meant to be, you must let die who you were trained to be. That means unlearning the people-pleasing, the overthinking, the need to be seen as good. That means making peace with being alone, disliked, even feared, not because you're cruel, but because you've stopped performing. You want to be free? Kill the mask. Watch what happens. A strong mind is a lonely place, not because you push people away, but because clarity reveals how few people can meet you there. Most conversations become shallow. Most company becomes noise. The more you grow, the more silence feels like safety. But that solitude is not your punishment. It's your training ground. It's where you refine your thoughts, where you detach from external validation, where you start making decisions from alignment, not approval. And it's from this place, this inner citadel, that your power begins to emanate. The kind of power that doesn't need attention, the kind of power that bends reality. When you build a mind that terrifies people, don't try to explain yourself to them. Don't shrink. Don't simplify. Don't soften. Translate nothing. Transcend everything. Because those who are ready to understand will feel you. And those who aren't, they'll label you arrogant, cold, difficult. Let them. Your job is not to make them comfortable. Your job is to evolve so far beyond the version of you they knew that they can no longer recognize you, and maybe quietly, they start questioning everything they thought was true. That's impact. Building a powerful mind isn't about gaining more, it's about shedding. Shedding the lies you were told, the roles you were cast into, the reactions you were programmed to have. It's about standing alone in the storm, not to prove anything, but because you finally see that most shelters were cages. And as the world grows louder, more fragile, more addicted to validation, you'll walk in silence, with clarity, because you no longer need to be understood. You've built something deeper, a mind that cannot be bought, a presence that cannot be ignored, a strength that doesn't flinch.